For those new, welcome. I'm David Garcia, the chairman for the board. So let me take a roll call for today for the members. Bianca Brewster, here. Judge David Garcia, present. Lucy Infante, not here. Mary Bender, present. Angie Garcia, present.
Here.
Sandra Solis, absent. Councilman Gilbert Gonzalez, absent. And Ms. Natalie Lewis. Where'd you go? There you are. Right, I knew you came in. All right, we have a quorum. All right, moving on to item 3, do we have any public comments today? I'm sorry? None? Item number 4, have we had a chance to review the minutes from last month? Any discussion on the minutes or any corrections that anyone can see?
A motion we approve?
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second? Anyone, Angie?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. All right, the next item for discussion, item number 5, for and possible action is review of the vacant positions for the committee.
I'm the one that brought that up because I don't know if we have a secretary and I don't think we have, vice chair. And perhaps those would be better, it would be better to vote on them when we have a
Possibly
larger
more
group.
members.
Yes, absolutely.
And that actually probably should be brought up again as an item because, unfortunately, I think the vice chair is going to be very important for a while. This is my third to last meeting. I think I'll be disqualified coming in January when I take on my new post, so I will have to be replaced as a committee member. I think it was, I fall under Councilman Torres's, I think,
Your district board?
district. No, I'm District 5. So,
Okay, you're Gutierrez.
Robert Gutierrez will have to. So I'm trying to think. No, I'm not District 5. I'm not sure, for some reason,
Oh, you're District 1.
Yeah.
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Gilbert
So
Gonzalez,
Mr.
yeah.
Gonzalez will have to appoint someone new.
Yes.
That's right. Then you said we also need a secretary?
I'm not certain if we have a secretary or not.
Well, I guess when we get to the item regarding the bylaws, I guess that would be something.
I
But the
think
secretary would be helpful if,
I do feel like when you guys, like on letter D, for the review and revision, I think that it would be helpful just to spread it out a little bit more responsibilities, so it doesn't fall on just 2 people in terms of the committee, to actually have a secretary as well. Like, that's just me throwing that out to you, and it can be written into the bylaws, but, it still could be a lot for just 2 people if it's, we might wanna look at having a secretary as well.
I lost track.
no, I agree, and I think the secretary, we need to probably appoint someone to help coordinate some of the sessions that I know we tried to plan at the last meeting, and then I'm glad we finally got a copy of the bylaws and everything, but to actually try to get this done, try to make some amendments or approve them before the end of the year.
But, and I think it's probably gonna take, that's why the condensing of the action items, because I feel like we've been sitting on the bylaws for a little bit, and if we can get something down, you know, before the beginning of the year for, and even descriptions of chair, co-chair, and secretary, it'll give a little bit more structure to, you know, responsibilities on the committee.
Well, that's an item for discussion, I guess, later, but
Yeah.
you just made a comment that I want to address, but we'll address that when we get to that point. So any further discussion then regarding the positions, and I think,
I think I motion to table it until we have a larger, attendance of members.
right, we're missing, we're missing 1, 2, 3, pretty much half of the members right now. We don't need to address any other ones that, I mean, we started a new year, right, so anyone that's on the committee now,
But I think that it would be wise, because they are chosen, and I'm not, by individuals on council, that we make sure after the elections that everybody's in seat, and then if it's a new person that's coming in, that they have the option to pick their, so I think it should be tabled. I don't know who's up for reelection, like what district, I mean, I know who, but I don't know what district, and I apologize.
I think it's 4 and 5.
District
Okay.
4, 7,
So there could be a little bit of a turnover, so at that,
oh, and 8.
I would say, you know, we brought it out in the open that we are going to need, each of those, cause they might pick somebody else, we don't know. But if it is a new person coming in, that they have the, availability to actually appoint a person. If that makes sense.
Perfect, all right, and then, your motion was to go ahead and table this issue until we have more members. And I'll go ahead and second that. Any opposed to that? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on to the second item, the LACS's operational updates.
Again, this was kind of condensed down. I know that, it was asked, what is the update on building a new clinic? As of this morning, we just got, scheduled to meet with the engineering, because we've already put out bids and all of that stuff. We finally got the, hey, we're gonna meet and kind of do, I think this is the second round of discussions with them, on this process, but it is moving forward. It is moving slowly, but it is moving forward, and we definitely wanna make sure that with this, it is done correctly. We are, you know, I'm sure engineering is doing their due diligence, and that's the time factor. But, Tuesday of next week is gonna be the second meeting with, engineering to kind of discuss the building itself and the contracting individuals to do that.
Any questions from the board or any further discussion? All right, we'll move on to item C, which is discussion of the current calls received and citations issued regarding animal abuse.
It was, I've been calling and, I asked for open records,
Mhm.
and it shows that they don't get citations and the abuse continue. So I wanna know how many calls has to be made to cite the people.
Well, it depends, because we're not gonna cite everybody.
Well, so the abuse is gonna be continued. to
Well, it
that
depends,
amount.
again, I'm not going to discuss because the ones that you are asking about, it's 3. I'm not gonna discuss an individual case with you in this environment. but the officers have discretion of whether or not individuals are cited. I trust their discretion. We are going through and, you know, we are providing resources for them.
Do they take pictures as soon as they arrive? Because some open records don't show.
They do take pictures, yes.
I've been, having those, requests,
Mhm.
and they don't show pictures or videos.
Well, I will tell you, again, they do show pictures. I know that one of them that you request, the most current pictures were not downloaded at that time.
And they said it was only one dog and there were 3.
I actually went out to that property myself. and
I pass through there
visited.
every day.
Yes, and that property, I know you want citation, citation, citation. And again, we are changing our philosophy on how we deal with community issues and what we ask of the people. And we are here to help people, especially if they do not know.
So animals gonna be abused.
Well, let's take a look at that. Last year, there were 61 animals seized. This year so far, we're at 158.
There's more.
Well, I'm sure there is more. But what you're saying is, and what you've been saying is, we're not doing our job and we're not doing enough.
Well,
But what I'm
that's
telling you
everybody
is, what
says.
I'm telling you is that what this shows from last year to this year is completely opposite from what you're saying. There isn't a problem in Laredo. There's a problem with how people sometimes treat their animals, have them outside. These guys here, they address that. They address that. And they're addressing it a different way, because what we've done in the past of going out and citing and citing and citing, is there a change? No. It is only getting worse. Is there a change? No. We have to change our methods. We have to change our methods. And that's what we're doing. And those dogs that you were talking about, they were of weight. They had shelter. We brought them out supplies to make it even better. But what you forget is we are also limited by an ordinance. And that's what we're gonna follow. Because that's what's gonna stand up in court when these guys go up in front of the judge. And it might not be what you like or what I like, but that's the way the ordinance is written. Do you have any further questions on this? Okay.
And just a side comment, here, from my point of view, I asked Mr. Garza from the DA's office to come to get an introductory to some of the things that we discuss and that are an issue in our community. I told him we weren't gonna put him on, we're not gonna put him on the hot spot, but I wanted him to hear some of the issues that come up in these discussions. And obviously, the item number C has to do with law breaking. And so I wanted him to create what has happened since our new administration is the partnerships with LPD and other agencies, and I want the DA's office to be a part of that as well, so that they can see some of the concerns that the board has, that the community has, and the resources that are grossly needed by the department. So, welcome, Mr. Garza. This is Mr. Daniel Garza, the Assistant District Attorney's Office, and we welcome, on behalf of the board, would like to welcome you to this first meeting. And hope it will not be your last, and there'll be members reaching out to you regarding some of the things, and later on, we will have hopefully special items just for you, but it'll give you some time to prepare what are some of the concerns that going forward, which you kind of just heard, is that there's concern that the offenders aren't being prosecuted the way they should. Now, we're talking about city, I get that, but in other instances, we do see that the misdemeanor level and then also felony level, because I know I've dealt with that. But anyways.
Your Honor, good question. What is the requirements for it to rise to misdemeanor felony level?
Well, that's one of the things that will be addressed, it's not an item on today, but that's one of the things we were hoping, that there is no clarification as to, and really, that is a partnership that we hope you can build with the men on the street, whether it be the officers working for Animal Protective Services or LPD, who has now, has an active role in trying to figure that out, but a lot of times it's a judgment call. I mentioned the fact that the DA has a prosecutor present at the jail who has an opportunity to review the complaints and sign off on that. So at some point, you're gonna get asked that question. So when does it rise to a prosecutable offense?
If I may, Margaret Padillon here from the City of Legal. I was at the DA's and I did have some misdemeanor animal cruelty cases. So the section is 42.092, and what would have to happen is for the officer to get a warrant for that offense. So that would be the process for the person to be arrested, but it would have to rise. If you look at that section, it is more severe than the city ordinance. So if there was enough, facts there to rise to the misdemeanor level, then it would become an arrestable offense.
Can I interject? Benito Martinez, Louis Police Department. And for it to become a felony, you have to have a prior conviction, correct? Because it's a class A misdemeanor under Chapter 42, cruelty to animals. And I think someone mentioned felony. So for it to be a felony, you have to have a prior conviction. So that happens after the fact, correct?
They have to been convicted 2 times.
So for us, it's a class A misdemeanor when we respond.
And I mentioned felonies because it's not very common, but I have had felony charges in the time I've been sitting in criminal courts. So,
If I may ask you, Margaret, how many times did you see these cases come your way when you were with misdemeanor units?
Less than 5, in about 2 years. But I think I only had 2 dog cases. I had 1 horse case, but they were kind of rare.
And this was starvation or heat?
Starvation, one where the dog was strangled, I guess, he jumped over the fence with the leash, and then the horse was emaciated.
Do you remember the outcomes of these cases? Especially the horse case?
I don't, no, I don't.
and again, while we're on the topic, the general sense, I think, is that we're hoping that there's more attention given to the fact that not enough is being done to protect the animals, and that there are rules that have to be followed, that are in place. And again, I'll make the comment, I know that it can be a touchy issue, because do we dump resources into protecting animals or people? And so there's always going to be a pushback, but I think there's a general sense that more can be done with minimal, I guess, added expense. Because, we have the tools in place that just haven't been used. And this is no comment on the job that the shelter's doing, because just being on this board and being out with the community, there has been great change that I've seen in going by and seeing how they're working and everything. But there is a frustration then for those who are at it, myself included, that not enough is being done. And that's why we're hoping to build more partnerships and bring awareness to the people who can do, such as the Office of the District Attorney's Office, to help us with this long journey, because as Lauren Houston has indicated, there's a mindset that has to be changed in the community, which is difficult to do, but it can be done. It's one small step at a time. All right.
Well, Judge, if I may, I know the offer of training for the district attorney is on the table, I believe we would benefit from that, especially when these calls come in at the intake office and it's, 8 PM, it's 1 AM. And the animals being left out in the cold, or the animals being howling because it's neglect. If we had that.
If you put your number out, I guarantee you will get a call. I'm not gonna ask you to do that now. But if you do, cause I mentioned to the board that, and because I do still work the jails in the mornings, on the weekends, and the district attorney's office has been a great help, because there's someone there physically that we can ask questions to, clarifications on things that are happening. So when the issue came up of how we could address following through on complaints of animal cruelty, the first thing that came to mind was the fact that the DA's office had been such a big help in helping us process the people that are getting arrested on a daily basis, that it could be applied to the same thing on cases involving animals. I don't know why it wouldn't work as well. So that was my hope in reaching out to the DA's office, that there could be a little bit more awareness to this concern that is out in the community.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It does just come down to a bit more training, but DA is more than happy to more vigorously pursue these matters.
And I will say, they have been completely, open arms, accepting the suggestion of, hey, we'll come in, when it rises up to this level, this is what we have done so far to get it here. And then, this is what it means when we ask for that leveling up. They have been, we've had amazing conversations, so.
Yeah, and really, there's a technical, I guess, or a practical problem that is that you have your officers out on the field, and they can issue a citation, but that's a municipal one, which has a fine. I don't know procedurally how, let's say they run into a really bad case that deserves more than just the citation. Well, they can't do anything other than issue the citation. My hope is that at some point in time, there's a procedure that those officers can follow to let someone know, whether you just calling the LPD.
We work hand in hand with them, so at times we respond
Well, then,
together.
the next step is for LPD to be able to reach out to someone at the DA's office and say, we've got this deal. And I don't know, I don't think that's,
We
okay.
do, because we have the intake program, it's 24/7. So we respond to a call. So what the officer does, every call, we get a call, we respond to every call. So the officer does a preliminary investigation and talks to neighbors, looks at the conditions. Is there water, is there shade, all those things. And then we staff it with the DA's office, usually on the intake, and sometimes we take a report, sometimes we make an arrest. I have some numbers here. For this year, we've had 13 arrests for animal cruelty to animals this year. Compared to last year, we had 10. So again, we don't arrest in every case, but we respond to every call, and every call is different. But we do work hand in hand with animal control. We've actually been to our roll call and educate our officers on the ordinance and all that. So we are doing.
Okay, well,
So the system is in place. It's just.
it needs one
At
at
times,
times.
no, not necessarily for us. Again, we respond to every call. This year, we had 458 calls reported. Those are the calls that we responded to so far. Now, out of those calls, we made 13 arrests. Again, not every, it really depends on the circumstances. We look at everything. And sometimes we do a report, we make an arrest. So that's what. And as far as citations, we issue a citation when there's a dog bite, that's for municipal court. Other than that, that's basically what we do. If you all have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
If AC is called to an animal abuse case, do you call the police department when you see how severe the case is? You do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
so
vice
there is-
versa, at times we get them involved. Really depends on the situation, but yeah, they've called us in the past.
The other question I have is how old is that ordinance? Is it archaic? Does
Well,
it need to be reviewed?
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
That, to make a change, we need to review the ordinance. How old is it? 50 years old? God, it's time for a change.
It is, and it is, and I will be the first one to say it's been a long time since it's been reviewed. Normally, there's a schedule of reviewing, that, you know, we're supposed to follow, and it hasn't been done.
So, Judge, that's something we need to look at.
I'm
As a committee, this is our job.
I'm about halfway through, doing some revisions to, it's not as easy as, I mean, it's pretty time consuming, in terms of making sure, cause I'm also trying to not do anything that Texas doesn't have, cause I'm not from here. So I'm trying to also keep into that consideration as well, but that is in the works. I do not have a definitive timeline on that, because there are a lot of things that need to be kind of reviewed and put forth and introduced. So that's, I will admit that is definitely a thing.
Can anybody help you? Is there anybody at the city that can help you? Anybody in the legal department that can help you?
I mean, that's why we have,
Okay.
yeah. I tend to do a massive red line and then send it over, and then they are gonna be like, oh, that's great, or what are you thinking? So we'll, and then we'll pass it back and forth, I don't know how many times, and then of course we'll put it up in front of you guys in council, so.
Yeah. I know we have a case pending in court. Can't talk about it, but we have a foster that is an abuse case.
All right, so I'll straight a little bit, but any further discussion on calls received and citations issued?
Well, I just wanna let everybody know that as of this month, or this time frame, it's not like a calendar month where they do the numbers, there was 50 citations during that time frame. Also, I just wanna kind of throw this out there, I know there's a lot of talk on the stray dogs and stray dogs and stray dogs. But we are only about 70 less stray dog pickups than last year. And just to mention one thing, as far as us not providing housing for owner surrenders and stuff like that on an operational basis, because I heard that as well on the internet. 531 owner surrenders this year, 459 last year. So those are the statistics that we have in terms of, I wanna make sure that operationally people understand that while animal care is designed for rabies control and strays, and that is our focus and that will remain our focus, we are still here to help the community and we're not neglecting them either.
When you mention year, is it a city fiscal year or
I did a calendar.
Calendar.
Yeah.
What was last year?
There's still 3 months.
I missed that. 401?
459 owner surrenders. We actually have more owner surrenders despite the fact of managed admissions this year to date than last year to date.
Have we identified, I don't know if this question pertains to that, I know you guys aren't patrols, but have we identified hotspots of where there's more strays?
Yes, and we've actually implemented, there's a number of ways to a blitz, a roundup, where the officers go out and specifically do those hotspots.
And what about, do we have an issue with the Rio Bravo and Cenizo still bringing, I know that was mentioned back in the day, and I would see it that they still bring in dumped animals.
There's a lot of issues when
There
it
is.
comes to that, yeah.
So I know the county has a hefty fund balance right now, and I wanna see what we can do where they can possibly build their sub-shelter in Webb County as well.
No, and I think that's a really great idea, because honestly, at the end of the day, Laredo is very unique in its location.
Yeah.
In terms of we can set our standards as well as we would like here,
Yeah.
but all the surrounding areas, the standards are very different. So the stray problem will always be a stray problem.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna go
Yeah.
away, especially overnight. But that's definitely something that would be amazing to at least lessen the burden of us and really focus in on our community and our community's animals.
Well, I had a conversation with Commissioner's Court on that, so we'll see what we get you.
And on that note, we just had a vaccine clinic in Encinitas, and the mayor was there, and their shelter is a very small shelter. It will be up and running by the end of the year. So, yes, and we actually did microchips for Encinitas, and they will be registering under their shelter.
And this is a municipality shelter, correct?
Yes, Encinitas,
Yeah, okay.
because Rio Bravo has their own.
Yep.
And we're here to help advise anything that they need to get that up and running, because it is it's a daunting
Great.
task.
Thank you for that.
It is.
All right, moving on to the next item, review and revisions to the 2017 bylaws. Everyone should have a copy.
Did you get one? No.
Oh, thank you.
When the bylaws were initially being passed around, I think one of the main issue, or the main question that came up was whether or not the bylaws should include a code of conduct. And my initial response is, why wouldn't we have one? Although, most of the committee meetings we've had have been very cordial, but you never know, so it might be a good idea. I will say this, because I know I volunteered this last time, and now with my deadline, as we go through this, I will volunteer to draw up certain standard codes of conduct or other bylaws and start passing that around before next week, so we can have at least something to discuss. But again, I think we should just have one, although I don't know that this committee is really needed to have one, but as personnel change and everything, I think it'd be good to have a code of conduct added to this as one of the articles.
Now, in going through this, I see that the committee is really not performing some of what our duty focus should be. These were from 2017, so they might need to be tweaked a little bit. Because we certainly aren't working on any budget meetings or, helping with that sort of. I don't see any, we haven't formed any committees to work on different projects to actually help the shelter. So, in my humble opinion, we have a lot of work to do.
You mentioned the secretary. Who's been doing the type-ups of the minutes?
We
10
have-
minutes?
You,
we have-
which is our responsibility, well, according to these bylaws, would have been our responsibilities, but
Well, and that's what I'm saying, like, I do feel it should be a little bit more, so you have the chair, vice chair, especially if you start breaking up into smaller committees, like, it is gonna be a little bit more, bringing things into things like, proposed capital improvement like, if this is like truly followed, that's gonna be way too much for 2 people. I'm just throwing that out. I mean, we all have our regular jobs and all that. I think that's gonna be way too much for just a chair, vice chair. I think it could be a little. I mean, that's if you wanted to keep the duties of the committee the same. If not, then that's entirely up to how the bylaws are changed, but again, this is a little different than what I've seen go on. The expectations according to this written bylaw.
Do you have something that we can review?
I could probably get that to you guys I'm out of town on Friday, but probably by the end of next week, I could make something work for you guys. And again, you can toss it in the garbage, it's cool, or use a little bits and pieces, it's up to you guys. But I could probably come up with something.
Absolutely. The other item, Judge, that we have not been following is Robert's Rules of Order, where we have a time limit and/or a total of 3, taking the floor 3 times or 5 minutes of having the floor at one given time. So that's not being followed, so we need to print out those and pass them out to everybody so we can all be in compliance with that.
I can print out a cheat sheet on Robert's rules and pass that out to everybody.
that shouldn't be a problem. All right. Any other specific comments regarding our existing bylaws for when we can test out?
Well, if I have that by, to you guys sometime like maybe next Friday or something like that, that'll give you a few weeks. And if we wanna put it on the agenda, or if you wanna take another, like, I don't know how long it's gonna take people to review, so it's up to you guys, but I'm sure there's gonna be some
So,
discussions.
if you can get that, and then the code of conduct will be added in, and then any other comments, so.
Okay.
They said, yeah, this was sent to me, so I'll go ahead and have this put on Word so we can start
To make a little redlining and, yeah,
redlining stuff.
okay.
I think it would also be a good idea, maybe to look at other committees' bylaws to see what you like and don't like, and then maybe work off of those as well.
That's a good suggestion.
What was it, you said you were in Knoxville?
Pardon?
No.
Nashville.
Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Any thoughts on working with their bylaws that maybe I'm sure it's gonna be online now.
About a year after I started, they, disbanded their, committee. So they do not have, however, I have written bylaws for like 4 other organizations. So I can, all animal related organizations, so I can put something together that is like done, and one of them was actually on a national level, so I can muster that out if you want.
Sure.
I can see if I have examples somewhere in my archives to send you over as well.
Yeah, just send them over when we do the other stuff, and that'll work, at least to get the ball rolling.
Okay.
All right, I think that's the last item on the agenda. So, is there a motion to adjourn? Anyone?
Any, go ahead.
I'll have this all information. I move to adjourn.
Second?
We said we did.
Seconded. Ms. Bender, any, all in
Before-
favor? Yes.
Before we break, DI sent, swag bags for
Oh.
everyone and just leave
I
it.
forgot to mention
It's
Thank you.
just a little,
that. All right, thank you so much again, Mr. Garza, for being here.
yes, Your Honor.
So, all in favor? Aye, any opposed? We are adjourned, and again, much gratitude for being here.